welcome to the Culture Magazine here on I-24 News. I'm Oded Grober, and today, very good show today. We'll host two prominent Israeli illustrators in celebration of Tel Aviv's Illustration Week. We'll take a look at Africa's musical charity efforts. And we'll sum up the Cannes Film Festival. Let's get right to it. Avri Rosen-Tzvi is here to sum up the news of the weekend for us.
Yeah, we had, it was a very interesting weekend. Well, it started with the Cannes Film Festival ending on Saturday. And for a festival which had a lot of great talents and well-known directors, the results were quite surprising. We'll start with the Palme d'Or, the big prize. Well, it went to a Turkish film, Winter Sleep, by Nuri Bilge Ceylan. I hope that's how you pronounce his name.
Spot on.
It's a film set in Anatolia. It's a family film. It's about a family. It's not a family film. It's 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, for the whole family.
I think
you can watch it as a family film if you take turns.
Actually, it's been wonderfully reviewed, but I wonder if they just saw a 3 hour and 20 minutes. They said, sold. That's the best film. It's the best film. I don't want to go see it. Come on. And the grand prize went to a young Italian director.
Yeah.
Called Alice Rowe Walker.
Yeah, wonderful achievement. I mean, she's
really young, 32 years old, and it sounds like a very interesting film. It's about a father who takes his family to a secluded place to sort of shelter them from the world, and
guess, it doesn't work out that well.
I don't know. They meet a bunch of people over the summer. It sounds like a really interesting film, and sort of different from the other fair which we had. Nice. But they also had to give some awards for actors, and the actors are a little more well known. Well, Julianne Moore won the acting prize. Well,
she was acting.
She's always good. She was acting in David Cronenberg's Maps to the Stars, and it's an actress who is sort of down on her not down on her luck, but sort of like decaying career, and she's trying to lead the career of her daughter. And Bennett Miller, director of Capote and Moneyball, won for Foxcatcher, which is looking like a really interesting movie.
Really looking
and
forward to that.
Godard won a tie for the jury prize, the first prize he ever won.
And he gets tied with someone.
And he ties for a jury prize. Cannes wasn't the only thing this weekend. We also had big news from Marvel. It's actually the first chink in Marvel's armor, because after working for 9 years on the movie Ant-Man, Edgar Wright, which I love, I mean, Shaun of the Dead is one of my favorite movies, and he left the project Ant-Man after 9 years, and so it's looking like he's not going to direct it, and it's looking like there might be problems in Marvel's kingdom. Not very well.
It had
for
to
the
happen
fans.
at some point.
It had to happen. Yeah.
Avli, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ed.
Moving on. While in the past, Western artists threw charity concerts to aid Africa, nowadays local musicians are creating their own charity singles to benefit their countries. One Africa by Idil Mamba and Youssou N'Dour is one such example, calling for peace in the Central African Republic. Daniel Campos brings us a history of charity music and the latest developments.
Regarde son esprit vaillant, habiter les yeux de chaque enfant.
One Africa is a new charity single calling for peace in Central Africa. The song was released by Idil Mamba, a Christian musician from the war-torn Central African Republic, and world-famous musician Youssou N'Dour, a Senegalese Muslim. The video has become viral on YouTube and on social networks with the intention of promoting coexistence, peace, and unity in the country. The Central African Republic is currently being affected by some of the worst sectarian, ethnic, religious violence in its history. The song follows the tradition of previous music charity efforts.
I don't know how someone could told you
such as in 1971, ex-Beatle George Harrison and Ravi Shankar, they organized a concert for Bangladesh and also recorded the single Bangladesh, the first ever purposely made charity single to help fundraise efforts following the 1970 Bola cyclone and the Bangladesh Liberation War. The money raised was donated to UNICEF. In November 1984, Band-Aid's Do They Know It's Christmas Time, composed by Irish singer Bob Geldof, which raised money to relieve those affected by the famine in Ethiopia. The song featured Bono, Phil Collins, Boy George, and many other stars of the era, and was popular throughout the 1980s. In the United States, charity records reached their peak in 1985 with We Are the World, a song and charity single released to support relief efforts in Ethiopia, originally recorded by the supergroup USA for Africa. We are the world. We are the world. We are the children. The song was written by Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie and produced by Quincy Jones and featured musicians such as Stevie Wonder, Cyndi Lauper. Sales of the single exceeded 20 million copies, and it remains the best-selling charity single in history. In recent years, a new revolution of independent charity music has been taking place in Africa. Now musicians can make their own charity singles without having to rely on Western celebrities and the platforms of the past. For example, in 2012, a group of popular musicians from the Democratic Republic of Congo united to record the song Stop the War, calling for an end to the violence and ongoing war in the country, considered one of the deadliest in modern-day history. The music video went viral on YouTube and social networks. In 2013, Voices United for Mali, musician Fatoumata Diawara gathered over 40 musicians from different ethnic groups and regions of Mali to record a song calling for unity and peace in their homeland, while the country was in crisis, battling against Islamic extremists and separatists. As the music industry goes through big changes and music studios and distribution platforms are becoming more accessible to everyone, you can expect to see this phenomenon grow, ushering a new era in African self-made charity music singles.
Now, it's Illustration Week here in Tel Aviv, an opportunity for local artists to showcase their work in many exhibits and events. With me in the studio are two very distinguished illustrators. Tomer Hanuka is an award-winning artist whose work appeared in the New York Times, Rolling Stone magazine, and Time magazine. He's also the first Israeli to have his work featured on the cover of the New Yorker magazine. And Tamar Moshkovitz, also an independent illustrator and designer who worked on magazines, books, games, and much, much more. Thank you both for coming in today.
Hi.
Thank you for having us.
So let's start with Tamar. We have to start with someone. As a part of this week's Illustration Week, what's happening? What are you doing?
What's my part? Well, I'm presenting some of my stuff. Some are old, some are new, at a few exhibitions that are around Tel Aviv.
Mm-hmm. Tomer, Tamar mentioned the Illustration Nation, which I guess is an exhibition that speaks about the fact that many illustrators from Israel work internationally. You're a very good example of that. You've worked for many, many companies. Is that even the fact that you're an Israeli, that you're from Israel, does that play any role?
I think it's something that Israelis have this tendency to be small business owners. They like to be working for themselves, and this is an opportunity for people who live here and want to have a creative dialogue with the rest of the world, to sort of do both of that, because everything is in emails and the communication doesn't have to be face to face.
Right.
So
when companies approach you, though, do they even know that you're Israeli?
I think everybody knows, as far as that's the first line in my wiki page.
Okay.
But artistically, like stylistically, I think the surface of my work is very I would say Western. You know, I grew up in the 80s reading Marvel comics, so it's very, it wants to be very polished and very glossy and very American. But I think the content is usually very desperate, and there's this sense that stuff is just about to unravel.
End.
Or there's a ticking bomb somewhere, you know. So I get a lot of like post-apocalyptic and like zombie outbreaks.
Yeah.
That's sort of the stuff of the content.
Light, good fun.
Yeah.
Now, as you mentioned, some of your influences growing up, Marvel and other stuff. It feels like there's an explosion of Israeli illustrators in the last few years. And is that just me, Tamar?
Well, you know, it's first of all, there are more people on this planet in general, you know, so there are more of everything, more doctors or more whatever. But I think the market has changed, and now people are more aware of the fact that illustration is nice to have in graphic design or everything visual.
You think there's more appreciation of it now?
There's more appreciation for it, you know, from clients who want to have it.
I see.
And
I always felt that because in the, let's say in the 70s and the 80s, people did start to have influences from the States, like Marvel, like other things, that this option presented itself more than it did in the past.
The option of being an illustrator?
Being an illustrator, yeah. Tomer? You don't have to agree.
No, I'm trying to see how I can actually counter that.
You don't have to. Let's keep going.
Okay.
You've both worked on many different things, on books and magazines, album covers. Do you approach every project in a different way?
Not really. I mean, for me, it's mostly the content. If I'm interested in the concept, I want to do the project, even if it's a wine label. You know, like I don't really care too much about the platform. It's really about what the job is exactly, like what the image, what the story is.
I see. And approaching work like that for someone else as opposed to working on your own thing?
This is something that I decided early on, is that every job has to be a personal project. Every commercial job to work, because there's this thing about illustration that the tension between commerce and art is on the table. It's wide open, so you know how much money you're going to make before you start the drawing. So in order to make a decent drawing, you have to come excited and energetic and like believe it's like your own project.
Right. Now, illustration does exist on that line between art and something that is more commercial. It's not totally accepted as an art form. Why do you think that is?
Well, you know, people will always look down at it, but I think that the boundaries are kind of blurry now because things have changed. It's also with graphic design. I come from the graphic design world. This is what I learned, visual communication, and I noticed that people appreciate stuff, you know. The crowd is different, and if people that come from the gallery world want to look at it as, you know, art, it doesn't really matter. As long as people appreciate it, I really like it.
I think that one thing will also lead to another as time goes by. Quickly, if you may, working on the cover of the New Yorker, that's a stamp of approval. How was that?
That was a long time in the making. I sent them sketches for like 10 years at least before I got one in, but it was very satisfying. Yeah, it's a very, very nice feeling.
Well, it's wonderful, and I like it a lot. What are you going to do next? What's happening?
I'm just finishing a graphic novel I was working on with writer Boaz Levi and my brother Asaf, and it should be out in next year.
All right, we'll look out for that. How about you, Tamar?
I've got a couple of books I'm working with, commercial stuff, and actually textile design with Dania Heller. She's a fashion designer, so it's pretty cool.
Sounds amazing. All right, so we'll definitely check you guys out in this week's Illustration Week. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you.
Before we end today's show, we'd like to give you a glimpse of the work of Marty Cooper, an animator who uses transparent foil, markers, and an iPhone to transform everyday reality. Really beautiful work. Take a look at that, and be sure to join us again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
camera, no.